Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2014 action-adventure thriller film X-Men Days of Future Past. This is directed by Bryan Singer, co-written by Matthew Vaughn, who directed X-Men First Class. We love Matthew Vaughn. We wish him nothing but the best. I cannot wait to see the next Kingsman film. I love Matthew Vaughn. He directed the first Kick-Ass, and it's funny knowing that Evan Peters plays Quicksilver in this, Peter Maximoff, because Evan was in Kick-Ass with Matthew Vaughn, and Matthew Vaughn was a co-writer on this. So I've expressed this numerous times. I love seeing actors and artists, all different forms of artists, working together again on projects that are not related to something they've done previously. Love it. So how the hell does this movie work within the timeline that we're given, right? The timeline changes. Primarily takes place in 1973. We have our First Class cast back. So most of them are actually dead in the 9 years from the first movie to the next one, timeline-wise. Feature film-wise, it's been 3 years. But then we also have the future X-Men, the Cyclops, the Jean, the Rogue, the Storm, the Iceman, those characters. Most of them are dead as well after the incidents of The Last Stand mixed with the Wolverine. But now we're in the future, and the Sentinels are now trying to obliterate any mutant, any human with a mutant recessive gene, anyone who has helped mutants. Humanity as a whole is being wiped out by these robots from Trask Industries. So how does Trask Industries in the future wind up destroying most of humanity? It's because in 1973, Mystique winds up shooting Trask, who's played by Peter Dinklage, amazing, and they wind up getting her blood after an incident, and they use her blood to create these Sentinel robots to then, camouflage against any mutant's ability, so that way it's a fair fight, right? That's how this happens. So we have Logan, who's going by Jimmy again in the early 70s, being sent back in time through his conscious mind via Kitty, who's played by Elliot Page, the great actor that he is. So Kitty, Elliot Page, is sending Logan back via conscious mind to his mind, because he can regenerate his brain, right? With any injury, he can regenerate, he can heal himself. So he now has to find the younger Charles Xavier, who's high on drugs, to convince Eric Leshner to Magneto to join forces to, save the day, right? Make sure Mystique doesn't kill Trask. And then Magneto winds up trying to, show off to the world that, hey, like, we exist, deal with it. You're not the superior race. We're the superior race. This is only a teensy bit of our powers and stuff like that. So, like, President Nixon is involved. An actor playing President Nixon is involved in this time period, 1973. So it's really interesting how the timeline can change. How do you change a timeline? So Wolverine is going back in time to convince his fellow future X-Men, who are still in the 70s, to change their actions so that way humanity as a whole and the worldwide population, mutant and humankind alike, do not perish because of their mistakes 50-some-odd years ago. And that's the thing. They keep saying 50-ish years ago. So if we're doing the math, it's roughly 2023, 2024, give or take. 2029 is like when Logan actually takes place. We talked about Logan. So it's pretty cool having all the timelines come together. Why this is the best X-Men film, aside from the fact that it did change the timeline. And then, yes, Deadpool 2 had Deadpool taking that little device, changing some of his timeline, not the timeline as a whole, but his specific timeline. But it's the best because it brings together all the X-Men that we know and love and have grown with, right? So it's been, at that time in 2014, it's been 14 years that we've had X-Men films, starting with 2000's X-Men. So to have two different generations of cast intermingled together in a cohesive story represented on a screen that multiple generations of audiences were watching, it was unlike anything we saw at that point. Yes, we had Avengers in 2012. Yes, we had Age of Ultron in, 2015? So then technically this was 2014. So this was this was the X-Men version of the Avengers, getting the gang back together again, basically. So it was kind of like a Fast and Furious film. The point of Fast 5 was to get the gang back together again, right? We're going to talk about that probably tomorrow. I'm recording this on February 26th. I was going to say September 26th. Clearly not September. It is definitely February. But yes, so X-Men Days of Future Past, pretty awesome. Awesome sequences. But what I love most about this, aside from the fact that the timeline changed, and the fact that the gang gets back together again, as I mentioned, is that there's a beautiful mix of storytelling with action sequences, hardcore action sequences, and heart. Beautifully, the duality of both, the hate and love, just coming together. It's just so poetic and beautiful. I love it. Love it. Double Italian hand gesture. Mwah. Kisses. Okay, we need sleep. Mucho mahalo.